Good evening. Today is December the 2nd, 2009. It is 5:40 p.m. This is a regular board meeting of the Brownsville Navigation District. I hereby call this meeting to order. Reverend, would you lead us in invocation?
Father, we are grateful for this opportunity to begin the meeting recognizing you, your plans and your purposes for us, each individually, as families, as a workforce, and for this board. Father, we pray tonight that our deliberations and decisions may move before you, Lord, that we may have your heart and insight into the matters concerning this business, this port, this region, that your favor may be upon our work and your blessing may be upon our endeavors. Father, in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Texas flag.
I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Do we have any public comments?
No, sir.
Okay.
Item number 3, receive Port Director's report. Item A, federal and state legislative updates.
Just briefly on these. 2, 3, 4. If you would take one and pass that down, please. On the federal front, the only thing again is to report is that the energy and water appropriations for 2010 did get signed, and in there for 2 projects that are specific to the port. The widening and deepening feasibility study of $538,000 is in there, so it is now, I guess you could say, money in the bank. That's the good news. The bad news is, remember, it's a 50-50 match, so our budget will have a corresponding $538,000 item in there as well. That is $12,000 more than what was included in the President's budget. On the O&M side, for maintenance dredging, we got $4,959,000. And again, this is going to be for maintenance dredging, and this is $1.571 million more than was in the President's budget request, so we did well there. The scheduled maintenance dredge with the supplemental funds will occur this year, and so whatever overruns there may be, we have this money to also deal with that, so that's good news.
Eddie, were these requests by the President, were they lower for everybody, or what?
I can tell you that I didn't see all of the requests for everyone. I can tell you that last year we did receive more than just about every other port. It wasn't to this extent. I don't ever recall getting $5 million in one whack. I mean, we would get $2 million, $3 million.
Right.
This is the one that we were tracking. If you recall, we had initially in the committee report and the conference report there was $7 million. Well, it got cut back to 5, but 5 is better than 3. So,
sure. Yeah.
So we're fine.
Okay.
That's very good.
On the state side, just very briefly, I want to give you the TxDOT minute order on the stimulus funding was issued, and on the back side of that is the projects that will be funded with stimulus dollars, and I highlighted the 550 project that you can see. There's really 2 projects in the FAR district. One of them is in Brooks County, and then the other one's in Cameron. And that one in Cameron County for the $36,496,200 is the stimulus funds for the 550 project. And so that is acted on again, but somehow or other they made some modifications to it, but it did get in the minute order, and so that's set to go. We should probably see some activity that, from what we understand, early spring of this year. And then
Of next year.
I'm sorry, of next year, yes. And the last thing I have for your bedtime reading is the Texas House of Representatives. The interim charges for the 81st legislature were issued, and so you can see through here that there's a lot of things I kind of highlighted those committees that would have items that potentially could impact the port, and we'll just be tracking them as they go. This is just for your information. This is an off legislative year, so the committees will be doing a lot of work. And sometimes it's just as important to get involved at this level than to actually wait for the legislative session. So we'll be working with our consultant to certainly track anything that's of importance to the port. That is all on the federal and state legislative issues.
Item B, FY 2010 BND operating budget.
I wanted to briefly kind of pass this out. We've been working on the operating budget and the capital budget for fiscal year 2010. It will be on the agenda for consideration at our next meeting, but just kind of wanted to go over some of the budget highlights that we're looking at. For the year, we are looking at, in 2010, of revenues of $13,400,000, and we're looking at expenses, at least to date, of about $10.5 million. So that would give us still a positive fund balance in terms of revenues in excess of expenses. However, we're not through with the expense side. We're still working on it. There's still some issues that need to be dealt with. The bottom portion of that front page is really the ad valorem tax revenues, and you can see that we do anticipate receiving ad valorem taxes both for the maintenance and operation and/or capital, and the general obligations would represent the payments on the district's general obligation bonds. The back, what you have here is just the breakdown of the revenue as well as the expenses. I kind of do want to touch on some of the things that we'll be looking at in this coming budget. One is you do have also a listing of some of the capital items that are in here. We still have to go through and scrub some of these. Continuing to look at areas for equipment replacement, looking at areas for repairs that we have to make to our infrastructure. Of course, all of this will change if we hear anything on the Tiger grant. That is not included in here. The other capital projects that are described are projects that we have had on the books for quite some time. For example, the feasibility study for widening and deepening. We've also received some grant money for security funding that you will appear. Some of these projects actually have carryover money where we will just simply take what we've got in this year's budget, carry it over, or any balances that from this year we will carry over. The primary focus of our budget is to obviously not to see any decrease in service levels. We want to continue to work on not only addressing service levels here at the port, but improving them where we can. Some of the things that we've talked about that are not going to be new in the budget that we're looking at for next year. For example, we remember the presentation with BDC on the joint marketing. We've got that in the budget to look at, and that's really an offset to existing marketing dollars. So we're not doing what we did this year and going to do the BDC, but essentially going to look to replace that. We've got we're looking at potentially, if we are to participate in the Imagine Brownsville program, there is going to be a monetary commitment to that for next year. We're also looking at the Texas One program. If you recall, that was also included in the BDC presentation as one of the recommendations. We would offset that, but probably not participating in one of the programs that we did this year, so that's not going to be an increase to the budget. We're looking to continue the efforts, for example, any carryover funds to finish up on the cruise ship feasibility. There may be some other expenses in the coming year that we may want to do, so we'll look at that, and some of our current programs. So this really maintains everything we're doing now, plus looking at some things that we may be doing in the coming year. There are some, we're looking to fund some authorized positions that were authorized this year, but we didn't do them. One of them is a deputy port director. Another one is the public information officer. We also had authorized a couple of police officers in our police ranks. We did not fill those, so we're looking at possibly going back and revisiting that during the next fiscal year. Again, these would be positions that have already been authorized, but when we went back last year and things weren't looking well, we kind of amended the budget and pulled back on some of those expenses, and some of these positions kind of were defunded, not necessarily deauthorized, but just simply defunded. So this year we're going back and looking at them. All in all, expect to present a budget that is well within our operating revenues, and one that will take into account looking at expanding service levels where we can. There isn't anything that is going to change the face of the port in here. What would happen with that, again, would be if we're successful with the Tiger grant funding, and then that probably would require us to go back and visit and look at implementation of that project and some of the issues that may go with all of that, but that'll be a good problem to have. We still have accumulated over $10 million in the funds in the Doc 16 fund that hasn't been touched. That's still there. This budget does not contemplate touching any of that money. So when we look at capital, I will note one thing, though, is that our capital budget, as we get into 2010, it isn't going to be the number that you had in 2009, because we've spent a lot of capital money this year. But we always have that fund that we haven't touched, and we're still putting in the $50,000 a week. The budget also will fund the reserve operating fund. If you recall, we set that up 3 years ago, and so it contemplates also making a contribution to that, and that's money that is above and beyond any money that we may have in our checking accounts. This is strictly an emergency reserve operating fund. After 2010, we should be at $1 million roughly in that fund, and our goal was to try to build up 90 to 120 days of operating income. So we'll continue to maintain that initiative.
How much are we putting in on that? Are we doing?
We put in $250,000 a year.
Okay.
And so we fund that. And then on the Doc 16, we're putting in $50,000.
How much do we have total right now on that one?
On Doc 16, we've got an excess of $10 million.
Over 10 million?
Yes, and that's reported in your financials every month. I think we're at about 10.5 or something like that. Well, yeah, we write that 50,000. You all sign that check every other week or every week, and you see that we transfer that money into that account. So just please look at it. If you see anything that jumps out at you or things that we'd be happy, we'll come back. And I would suggest, if you think it would be prudent to possibly, before actually entertaining action on it, if you think it's necessary, we could do a workshop prior to the meeting to go over this in greater detail.
That would be good.
So I will leave that up to your discretion. So unless there's any questions, that would conclude my report.
Thank you, Mr. Campbell.
Item number 4, consideration and action on the following consent agenda items. A, approval of minutes of the regular board meeting of November 17, 2009. B, approval to authorize payments over $25,000. 1, HDR Oil Docks 2 and 3 in the amount of $13,322.75. Item 2, HDR Cargo Dock 3 in the amount of $7,038.26. Item 3, HDR Cargo Dock 16 in the amount of $438,187.18. Item 4, HDR Oil Dock 6 in the amount of $166,747.08. Item 5, HDR feasibility study in the amount of $3,042.90. Item number 6, HDR Tiger grant in the amount of $62,093.03. Item number 7, HDR DMPA 5B rehabilitation in the amount of $12,500. Item number 8, HDR DMPA 8 rehabilitation in the amount of $6,300. Item 9, Vulcan Materials payment of patio 20 in the amount of $27,474.85. Item C, approval of the following leases. Item 1, Luis Victor Varial doing business as South Texas Fabricator Painting and Sandblasting, new lease. Item 2, Lasagne Enterprises Inc. release. Item 3, Juan Delgadillo doing business as Juan's Electric, new lease. Item 4, WWC Texas RSA Limited Partnership doing business as Verizon amendment. Item 5, M&M Mooring Company amendment. Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Request a table of C1 and 2.
Table.
Okay. Any discussion on any of the other items? Okay. Do we have a motion to approve everything? Okay. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, we got a motion by Commissioner Cowan, seconded by Commissioner Aramla. All those in favor?
Aye.
Items carry. Items C1 and 2 are tabled.
Item number 5, resolution by the Board of Commissioners of the Brownsville Navigation District supporting the Laguna Madre Water District's request for financial assistance from the Texas Water Development Board.
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, this is an information item that I had brought to you. We had talked and we've been discussing with the Laguna Madre Water District about utility expansions into our lands that are to the east towards Port Isabel. I do want to recognize Mr. Gavino Sotelo, who is the general manager for the Laguna Madre Water District here. He's here with us, and when we met with them and we talked about it, there's certainly interest on behalf of the Laguna Madre Water District, and an opportunity came up to actually secure some funds from the Water Development Board to do a master plan on the utility side for water and wastewater infrastructure. The program, the way it works, it's a 50-50 match where the grant amount would be for half of the request. However, we're not the only entity that would be involved in this. There are 2 other entities, because the way the Water District, Laguna Madre, has this is they have the south area, which would be the area that we're talking about, and then they have a north area, which would involve Los Fresnos and Rio Hondo, East Rio Hondo. So our share of our portion would be, if this is approved, this is contingent upon the application being approved, but our, in effect, share of that portion for the district would be approximately $23,784. And what this resolution does is that it supports the submission of the application to the Texas Water Development Board, and it also says that if the grant is awarded, that we would participate, and this would be what our share would be for that planning grant. I think Ariel has the service areas that we're talking about, including in that study. And we would not be the grant sponsor. We would agree to participate. The Laguna Madre Water District would be the grantee. Our participation would be to participate with them to do the master plan for this area.
So it'd be on the north and south side of the channel?
No, it's primarily on the north side of the channel. It does not include on the south
area
side.
that's off in the bars. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, we did talk, just for grins, I mean, we did talk about, we own that little piece of property on the east side, which is essentially the Boca Chica Beach, that if Gavino was interested in extending utilities and creating his own private little paradise over there, we could possibly look at that. But I mean, we have some prime beachfront property. But at this point, our primary objective would be to look at that. Now, as you know, we've got an existing tenant who's looking at some possible development in that area, and obviously that's one of the drivers to look at what kind of utility demands might be needed. And of course, from the district's perspective, is that this opens up not only land that the navigation district owns, but possibly land on the north side of 48 closer to Port Isabel that could be available for development as well.
Isn't the Texas Water Development Board mainly, their funds mainly going to rural areas that are colonias, residential areas, stuff like that? So it could conceivably go into commercial areas? Okay.
Yeah, Pete.
Unserved areas is what
Yeah.
we cover.
Mr. Sotelo may be more familiar with the particulars of the grant program, but this does not exclude the Laguna Madre from participating under that program for those grant funds. And I mean, the Water Development Board has also received a whole lot of money. I mean, they're the ones that, issued the $46 million to PUB through the Water Development Board for those improvements. So they've got some.
So this
funds
study would tell us, or tell the Laguna Madre Water District, that it's feasible to put lines in here? Is that what that's supposed to?
Well,
I'm a little confused at what the study's
what it
supposed
would do would it would try to anticipate what kind of development could occur and what kind of demands that development would create, to know what size of lines would you need to run for this type of development, and to give us some idea of what the costs associated with that would be, and whether or not the water district would have the capacity to serve this kind of demand in the future.
How did we arrive at 17%?
4 entities?
The area that we cover, as Ed was saying, is not part of the port, but also up north at Isla Hondo and Los Fresnos. What we did, we looked at the entire area and prorated it based upon the number of acreage that's involved in this. For example, Isla Hondo participation would only be about $2,300. The total cost of the grant's about $140,000 for the project. Half of that we would have to fund, and we're asking that you participate and pay the portion that will be dedicated to your property.
So the 2,500 acres represents roughly 17% of the total acreage that is going to be studied?
Right.
Okay.
We would make up the difference. Our cost would be about $60,000 or so.
Well, actually, the 17% is half, because
Right.
remember, TWDB is paying half of the study.
Okay.
So really, our portion is 34%, but we only pay half of that 34%.
Is that 23,000?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
If we were to fund the whole study, we would be funding $47,000 from us, and then they'd have to put the rest according to the breakdown.
When we get through this study, we will know if it's cost effective for you to bring utilities there, and what it would cost to bring utilities there, and you'll be able to do some financial analysis of the potential businesses based on prospects we have today.
That's correct.
What you could, if you could bring stuff there, the utilities there, and then what it would cost to do that.
That's correct. Our consultant will be working very closely with your staff so that we can get input into what you anticipate will go in that area, and then they'll decide the line accordingly.
Who's your consultant?
SP Consultants out of Dallas.
Okay.
So this study could eventually be used, if it's a good study, comes out positive, it could be used on the master plan.
Oh, yeah.
Ralph?
Well, it would, yeah.
It would be part of
Part of
the
the
information that we have for that.
But see, the other thing that would happen is that TWDB, by doing this study, this area is an area that is not certified to anyone for water and sewer service. And by certifying that they are capable of serving it, then they would be the CCN area, the CCN district that would be certified to provide water and sewer service to these acres.
The general concept of the study is to, again, delineate the service areas that we're looking at. We would also look at the demand development. What kind of potential development could occur and what kind of demand would be raised? It would identify the types of water and wastewater service options. It would also provide for evaluation of alternatives to the service area. Are there other ways or other service providers that can do it? It provides for a conceptual planning and design, and also for development of some preliminary costs or any alternative costs associated with it. I mean, those are kind of the program elements of the study. The other thing, what it won't do is it won't say, you know, who's going to do it. I mean, it could conceivably, and I don't want anybody to kind of leave. I mean, if there is, this could wind up being something that the Laguna Madre District, if they chose to, could do. This could be something if we would have to look to do, or if you had a third-party private entity developer out there that says, look, we want to do this, well, you'd have some idea of what those costs would be that you'd pass on.
So we're not locked in?
No. This does not commit them, us, or anyone to actually go out there and spend the money necessary to put in what's identified. What it does do is give us an idea. Now, most utility companies do not. If somebody wants service, they're obligated to provide the service. They're not obligated to provide the funds necessary to deliver the service to where you want it. That's typically a cost that's passed on to either a developer or to some other entity. So this doesn't do any of that, but it would tell us, okay, this is the kind of development that could occur. This is the kind of service demands that would be needed. This is the size of pipe, or the kind of, you know, this is what you'd need to do, and give us some idea of what kind of costs we're talking about. It doesn't mean that we're going to extend utilities, or someone is going to extend utilities all the way down to the boat ramp. all it means is that we'd look at that whole area, and is it feasible as a service area?
I have one other question, Eddie, on the resolution on page 39. Number 6, it says that the participant, which I'm assuming is us, already has a water conservation plan or will adopt a TWDB approved plan prior to completion of the grant term. Do we have a plan, or is it we're going to spend a lot of money developing a
No.
plan?
That's us. We do
That's you?
Yeah, they're
Okay.
the service provider, we're not.
Okay, so we don't have to worry about
And
that.
even in our case, since we're a wholesale water customer on what we have now, it would be PUB.
Okay.
But in this case, see, like Ariel said, nobody is certified to serve this area right now. So, PUB is essentially not interested because they're not about to go and extend utilities that far east. So they, in effect, have acquiesced, if anything, to the Laguna Madre Water District.
Thank you.
Okay. Any further discussion or questions? Do we have a motion?
So move.
Okay, we got a motion.
Commissioner Arambula made the motion, I second it.
Okay, so we got a motion by Commissioner Arambula, seconded by Commissioner Cowan. All those in favor?
Aye.
Item carries.
Those resolutions are there I'm sorry, they're here in this folder. And the only reason I hand that to you is because I do know that the grant application does need a copy of the signed resolution, so I can pass that along to Mr. Sotelo then.
Item number 6, consideration and action on rescheduling the regular board meeting of January 6, 2010 of the Brownsville Navigation District Board of Commissioners.
We can table this for the next meeting, and the only reason I say that, I do know that we've got the Texas Transportation Forum that is scheduled for the 6th, 7th, and 8th. Our first regularly scheduled meeting in January is going to be on the 6th, so we're going to have at least 2 commissioners out and myself. However, the reason I say we can table it is that, well, based on the bids we got today, I don't think it's necessary. Yeah. The only thing I would ask you is to think of possible dates. One thing would be possibly doing the meeting on the 5th, which is Tuesday, or Monday the 11th. If we wait, we may not even need a meeting, and then we could just go with one meeting in January. So let's just table this for now.
All right, we got a motion on the table?
Motion.
Second? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, item is tabled.
Mr. Chairman, just had a question going back to the, Mr. Sotelo. What kind of timeline do we have on that project for the study? Mr. Sotelo?
Before it takes off, we got a question regarding the
I just had a
project.
question regarding the timeline on the study. What kind of timeline are you looking at? Getting that, when it started and then finish it?
Well, once we get all the resolutions in, the application will be sent in probably the first part of next week, and we'll get started right away. We need to speed it up. We've got one request already for services, and they seem to be in a hurry to get started, so we need to be able to address that issue.
Yeah. When would the development board actually act on the application and let you know that it's been approved?
Well, that's hard for us to say. They told us that they get it next meeting in December, but Christmas is coming up and everything seems to slow down around this time.
So it could possibly, the action could not be taken until, so you're able to spend money though and then get reimbursed, or?
No, we're not going to do anything unless we get the,
Okay.
I can't afford to fund $140,000 for the study this time.
Just asking.
So-
No,
Yeah, we're waiting for the funding. Once it's approved, then you'll be ready to go. Okay.
So hopefully they'll get approved, if not this month, it'll be in January, so then right after the, as soon as you get the approval, then that's when you take off.
Yeah, but the Water Development Board tells us we have a very good opportunity and they expect to be approved because we have more than one entity involved. It's something that's needed and everybody else has signed off on it. We feel pretty good about it.
Good.
Very good.
Thank you.
The consultant indicated that the study itself would probably take about 90 days
Yeah.
to get done, so we're really not looking at a long period once the once notification is issued and everything's authorized to proceed. So.
And we're also very lucky in having this firm, if I may say so, because they already started gathering information, knowing full well that if the grant's not approved, they're out that expense, but they feel pretty confident that it will be.
So they got a head start already.
I want to thank you all for coming and partnering with us and invited us to participate in this, because we have property there that needs utilities, and you have utilities that you need to sell, so it's a real win-win. And then that'll provide jobs and all kinds of, it'll be a generator for a lot of good things.
We're looking forward to it. I appreciate your support, and I think you'll be pleased with the study once it's finished.
I'm sure we will. Thank you, Mr. Sotelo.
Thank you.
Item number 7, consider an action on accepting medical and dental insurance bills from Blue Cross Blue Shield of Texas.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, we have received our renewal bid for the employee medical and dental health benefits from Blue Cross and Blue Shield. The original medical bid came in at a 25% increase over last year due to the amount of large claims that we've had this year and the fact that we haven't had any increase over the past 3 years on our premiums. Our insurance consultant, Ken Wethy, negotiated the increase down to 20%, and then our broker, Romeo Chapa, gave up 1% of his commissions to bring the total down to 18% increase. The dental increase was at 2.7%. Staff recommends that we accept the medical renewal bid at an 18% increase, or $542.35 per employee per month, and the dental plan at $20.18 per employee per month.
Let me kind of add a couple of things. One is that we are in the last year of what is essentially a 3-year deal with Blue Cross Blue Shield. When we went out for proposals or bids the last time, Blue Cross Blue Shield was selected with an option for 2 1-year renewals. This is the last year that we can do that. Next year we'll have to go out for proposals. Our consultant, Kent Withy, reviewed the plan, went through it. As Mrs. Sabin said, the original increase was about 25.5%. And once that he was able to review the information, look at the proposal, he got them to bring it down to 19.2. In effect, it's been rounded off to an 18% increase. We asked Mr. Withy if it were prudent for us to go out for proposals given this last year. And in his opinion, he said that he thought this was the best proposal that we would get. And the reason for that is because we have we just simply had a bad year. We had a year this past year where we had larger than usual, if you look at your average for the last few years, of claims experience. The problem that he saw is that we've got, these are ongoing claims, so it's not like a one-time thing and okay, it's a bad year. And so his recommendation was that we really accept this proposal in terms of believing this is the best we could get. His opinion was that even if we went out, it would not guarantee that Blue Cross Blue Shield would even come back with the proposal that showed an 18% increase. They may very well come back with a greater increase. So based on that information and some of the deliberations we did, is that we felt that the most prudent thing to do is to accept his recommendation and go ahead and my recommendation would be to go ahead and accept the Blue Cross Blue Shield. You know, next year, we don't know what's going to happen next year. If these claims experience continue what we're doing, we may have a real big problem next year. The overall increase to the district in terms of the employee share, our current premium that we pay for the employee is $459.62. The increase is going to be to $542.35. For the employees who have dependent coverage, they absorb that increase. So that increase is going to go from $514.41 to $607.10. We'll probably lose some employees who just simply won't be able to afford to have the dependent coverage. We don't know at this point. And so, you know, health insurance is something that I think we've been lucky the last few years. Our luck ran out. We just simply had a bad year. The budget can absorb this increase for 2010. It is not something that puts us in any kind of financial peril. We've amongst the certainly the management team is that, you know, we've obviously would like to have a whole lot of things other than insurance, including salary adjustments and things of that nature, but we're just not going to be able to afford to do all of those things. We recognize that this is a significant increase to the district of approximately $100,000 a year, but health insurance is important, and may be necessary to forego any kind of salary adjustments for next year in favor of trying to maintain the same level of coverage. When we did the Blue Cross Blue Shield, we did do benefits adjustments. So we did increase the deductibles. We did increase some of the costs associated with the new plan. However, we did add dental as well. And so right now we're at $500 deductible. It's a 90/70 plan where if you participate within the network, the plan covers 90% of the cost. The employee will have to match a 10%. Out of network, it's 70/30. And so it has a prescription card benefit, and that is increasing under the plan, $5, I think, per generic and prescription and premium drugs. It is what it is.
All right. Any questions, discussion?
There are no comparisons between the other potentials. Like we're using plan MO2, and there's an MO7, MO8 they're fairly comparable that would save the district money. I think the board should have the opportunity to look at. Also, I know that this is the best plan that we can buy. It's a Cadillac plan. There's no doubt about that. I know that in the private sector, that when the companies are changing their plans around, that if it's like in this particular case, if we went with an MO7, our premium would be $496 per employee. Stay with an MO2, it's $547.85, a little lower because they got the discount. But they offer the ability, Blue Cross does, for the employee to pay the differential so they don't have as high a deductible if they choose to do that. I just think it's imperative, you're talking this kind of money, that the board have an opportunity to look at different scenarios. Staff got to look at it, but the board needs to look at it before we make a decision. And I'd like to table this and have a workshop so that we can look at 2 or 3 different options in different scenarios so that the board can make a rational decision as to what's the best opportunity, best plan for the district.
What is our deadline to make a decision on this?
Well, we could contact Blue Cross Blue Shield. I think that they can probably go to a 30-day until we make a final decision. We'll just have to do that. But ideally, this plan is supposed to lapse at the end of the month. I don't think that will be a problem. And if it is,
maybe we can schedule a workshop for.
Well, I would think we would want to. I will
for
tell
the next
you.
meeting.
Yeah. Now, I want to be clear that I kind of understand that what we're talking about. If you're talking about altering the plan to provide more options to the employees on how to pay for this, or are you talking about adjusting the benefits to make it more affordable to the district? Because when you talk about, for example, M7 that you mentioned, you're talking about increasing the deductible to $1,000. We're not talking about finding ways of altering the plan where employees have an option of picking and choosing and saying, I can afford this, and therefore this is what I'm going to select.
No, it would be and what I did, I looked at what we currently have, the MO2, and then I compared it to the MO7, MO8, and I did rough math to see what our savings would be. And obviously each of them affect the employees differently, higher deductibles, et cetera, et cetera. But I do know in talking to insurance agents that if an employee wanted to maintain a lower deductible, let's say they know they're going to have to go in the hospital, that there is that ability to pay the differential on their own. Like if we decided to do the $496.44 monthly premium, and they wanted to stay with the $547.85 monthly premium, which they currently have, they could pay that differential, so they'd have a lower deductible going into the hospital. And that's all I'm saying, is we just give an opportunity for us to look at it, and maybe Mr. Chapa can be here, or at least let you know if that's available under this particular plan.
All right. So do we have a motion to table?
So moved.
Do we have a second? Second by Commissioner Cowan. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Item is tabled. We'll take that up with a workshop at our next meeting.
Item number 8, consider an action on an application for renewal of the line handling permits to A, Brownsville Mooring, and B, M&M Mooring.
All of the requirements for the licensing have been met, and we recommend renewing the line handler permits for these two companies.
Okay.
Make a motion, Mr. Chairman.
We got a motion by Commissioner Lopez. Do I have a second?
You have it right here.
Second by Commissioner Cowan. All those in favor?
Aye.
Item carries.
Item number 9, consideration and action on assignments, negotiations, easements, subleases, and contracts in general. Item 1, National Marine Fisheries General Service Administration Authority to negotiate.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, National Marine Fisheries lease at the fishing harbor expired November the 30th. They're asking for a 2-year extension. So I'm asking the board to give me authority to negotiate an amendment to extend their lease for another 2 years.
Do we want to do all these, it's one at a time, is that what?
Yeah, I think we need to do these one at a time. Do we have a motion?
So move.
Motion by Commissioner Cowan. Do we have a second?
Second. Mr.
Second by Commissioner Lopez. All those in favor?
Aye.
Item carries.
Item number 2, OmniQuest Industries, Inc., authority to negotiate.
This company, OmniQuest Industries, is asking to lease approximately 2 acres. They broker recycle scrap material, and I'm asking the board to give me authority to negotiate with this company.
Where would their lease be?
Right here, sir.
Oh, okay.
These 2 acres right here.
Are those clear right now, or are they?
Yes, they are, sir.
Okay.
So move.
Okay, we got a motion by Commissioner Cowan. Second by Commissioner Lopez. All those in favor?
Aye.
Item carries.
Item number 3, International Shipbreaking Limited, LLC, authority to negotiate.
International Shipbreaking parking for employees lease has expired November 30th, and they're asking for a new lease. So I'm asking the board to give me authority to negotiate. That is right in here, the parking for international.
It's across the road. Right. Okay.
ISL is the one that has the air carrier, the aircraft carrier there.
Okay.
So it's their parking, employee parking.
Okay. We got a motion by Commissioner Lopez.
Second by Commissioner.
Second by Commissioner Cowan. All those in favor?
Aye.
Item carries.
Item number 4, International Shipbreaking Limited, LLC, authority to negotiate.
International Shipbreaking is asking to lease the Rock Dock area, right in this area, for the purpose of mooring vessels and the remediation of those vessels. They know about our project, our oil dock project, 6, and so they would still like to go ahead and
We didn't allow escrow.
install some moorings there and be able to use it. They would get a 30-day notice of termination. They would understand that there would be a 30-day notice to terminate.
There's a security
If and when we did funding, the grant funding, and we were going to use that and we started our project there. So with that, I'm asking the board to give me authority to negotiate for the site with ISL.
So move, Mr.
No, they just want to moor or park the boats there while they're.
Labor of the vessels and do the remediation.
Okay.
So before they bring them into,
Yeah, they take
their
all
site.
take everything, the asbestos, everything out of there.
Right.
So are they going to have containers, going to have something to stage this on the ground?
No, it's on the
No,
vessel.
it has to be on the
It's
Everything's
vessel.
done in the vessel. on
In the vessel?
So there's not going to be any improvement to that property then?
No.
But they need to have,
Only the moorings.
how would they get access to it, from the land or from,
From Anchor Road,
okay?
Anchor Road, they would come in through Anchor Road and go down East Oil Dock Road right here.
Are those secured, those areas?
Yes.
Restricted areas?
Yeah,
They
we're all
know
gonna
that they have to have twigs.
So they're gonna have to have twigs.
And we're gonna have somebody there when they go in and everything, they're gonna have to understand, they're gonna have to, you know,
They understand all of that?
Yes, sir.
pay, they're gonna have to pay for all that.
I was going to say that, there's going to be a cost to that,
Yes.
so.
When we do the labors, they pay for the security, so that's,
What would the rent be?
The rent would be $17,356.68 because we're talking about 2.997 acres there at the current rental rate of $5,300.
Be expensive.
Or how long of a,
That would be for 1 year. It would be for 1 year, and there would be language in the contract about, being able to terminate. If within that year, we need the property, we'll just give them notice, and they would move within the 30 days.
well, is there any way that the moorings they were going to put in there, they would, when they leave, would they leave the moorings there, or would they pull the moorings out and take them with them?
I would say the moorings stay.
Well, if the moor-
That,
they're already there.
they would have
Three
to
of
know.
them are there, that
Okay.
ESCO put in, Donna?
No,
They put
they
in 2 of them. didn't they?
ESCO did not.
Oh, they never
No,
put
they
them
never
in?
put them in. They were going to, and we
Did they put 'em in?
approved the structures, but they never put them in.
So they'll be putting,
Well, what I'd like to suggest is that when you're negotiating, that you get them to have Ariel choose the site that they're going to put the other moorings, so that they could be incorporated into the design of the dock, or the oil dock, because, moorings are part of the oil dock project, so if we could do that, we could take advantage.
That would work because the moorings are
Be
different,
gone.
the oil dock are different.
But your suggestion is good. Regardless, we always reserve the right to review and approve whatever improvements are going to be made, and we'll
If
look
there's
at
some
that.
way we could take those moorings and be able to use them for Oil Dock 3 if they're different type, or maybe we could pay the difference.
9 cents a GRT.
For GRT?
9 cents.
Maybe we could pay the difference to upgrade to what we need, so that when they leave and we put our oil dock in, then we've got something we don't have to pull out.
Whether they use it.
One is that the amount of work they're going to do for what they needed is entirely two different things. I mean, they're ready to go. This isn't going to be a 6-9-month construction project.
Okay. They want to start using
Yeah,
this right
they're
away.
going to.
Would it interfere with any other operations in the area right there?
No, sir.
Okay,
GRT.
all right.
What,
expensive to remove the moorings after that?
No, I don't know if we want to remove the moorings. I mean, they're pole moorings. It's just,
well, what I'm saying is that if you're going to have an oil dock, and the mooring that they put in there, if we use the same time we were going to use it and place them where we want it.
Yeah, but they want to start right away.
the only comment is that we'll look at that, but they're two different kinds of operations entirely. These guys are going to be trying to get as close to the bank as they can. The oil dock is away from it. It's got different kind of mooring structures. I mean, we'll look at it, but I think it's a good idea to look at it, but it may be two entirely different things. And
He's saying 90 or 100,000 tons. That's not, you think that's right?
Second, Mr. Arambulo's motion.
Okay. We had a motion,
I don't know, like 65, something like that.
okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Arambula, seconded by Commissioner Lopez. All those in favor?
Aye.
Item carries.
Item number 5, International Shipbreakers Limited LLC authority to negotiate.
International Shipbreaker is requesting to lease 8 to 10 acres of the site that we have under a right of first refusal with Bay Bridge. So this is going to be for the purpose of offloading, storing, dismantling, and offshore platforms.
Bay Bridge,
And vessel mooring, also vessel mooring.
58,000.
That would, there's a bulkhead there, and that's the main entrance. So, again, we would have to prepare, once the board, if the board gives me authority to negotiate, we would prepare the lease. Once ISL signs it, at that time, we would give notice to Bay Bridge of their 15-day, their right to either lease, exercise the 10 acres, or give up the site.
Will this be a year lease?
This would be, yes,
Okay.
year to year also.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, we got a motion by Commissioner Arambula. Do I have a second?
Second, Mr. Chairman.
Second by Commissioner Lopez. All those in favor?
Aye.
Item carries. No se me duerman.
Item number 10, consideration and action to award contract for repair work on the wastewater treatment facilities rehabilitation to existing clarifier project to the lowest qualified bidder.
This is a tabled item.
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, members of the board commissioners, we would like for you to table this item at the request of one of the potential bidders. They asked for more time. So what we've done is we have issued an addendum asking everyone to rescheduling, I should say, the bid opening for next Wednesday at 10. So we will bring this item back for your consideration on the meeting of the 16th.
Is there a reason why you have to do this?
Well, yes. Several of the potential bidders indicated that they wanted more time, and that particular project is not time sensitive. So and remember, we're looking at the clarifier project right now.
Right.
That one, like I said, we're going to push the bid opening for next Wednesday, and then we're going to open bids that day, and then we're going to bring it back to you.
That doesn't cause us any problems with those that have already submitted bids or anything?
No, we haven't
one
received
has
bids.
submitted
No, they haven't gotten
We
one.
notified everyone in time for them to
We've
know
done
that
this
they're-
before. We've done it on
It was
other
gonna
projects.
open this morning, and we postponed it, like I said, for next week.
Okay, sounds good.
So we asked for you to table that item.
So move.
Do we have a second?
Second, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, a motion by Commissioner Carroll, and second by Commissioner Lopez. All those in favor?
Aye.
Item is tabled.
Item number 11, consideration and action to award contract for levee work and other improvements on the placement area 5B rehabilitation project to the lowest qualified bidder.
Chairman, Board Commissioners, I'm very pleased to announce to you that we received two bids today for the placement area 5B rehabilitation project. As I informed you last meeting, the estimate by the engineer for this project was $660,500. The low bid came in at $523,125 by RLB Contracting, Inc. We have verified RLB Contracting, Inc.'s capability to perform this project. Our consultant, HDR, has issued a recommendation, a very positive recommendation, in fact, for this contractor. Right now, they are working on Area 3 next to Port Isabel, which is placement area number 3 for the Corps. So, my recommendation this evening is for you to award this contract to RLB Contracting, Inc. in the amount of $523,125.
Where's the company based out of, Mr. Chavez?
Fort Log. Yes. And they've been doing work all over the Texas coast. They've done, according to the report that I've got from our consultant, they've done some work for the Galveston area, for the Port of Galveston. Like I said, they're doing work here close, and I'm hoping that next week when we bid Area 8, which we'll bid on the 16th as well, we also get good bids from them. So.
There's a big difference between, these are the only two bids? that are on
Yes.
here? Okay, so between those two bids, there's $178,000 or so there's a lot of
Well, in
difference.
fact, one thing that I think I need to mention, the way that the high bid was submitted, the number was lower, but the extensions were incorrect. So once we put it in the tabulation, the extensions were corrected, and that's actually the amount bid. On the bid documents, we indicate that the unit price governs. So we plugged in the unit price, and then it extended to a different number, but it's still, the other number was $690,000 698,000, I think it was, and it was just an adjustment of a little bit there to the 707.
You mean it was lower,
It was lower than the 707, but it was not lower.
it was
than
not
the-
lower than RLB, okay.
No, not by far.
On these type of projects, are they susceptible to change orders? Like
Yes, they are. This particular project, as we mentioned last week, well, no, actually, we didn't mention it to the board. We mentioned it on the pre-bid conference, but in this particular project, the potential for change orders is fairly minimal. I think the only big issue is that on the two drainage structures that we have, there is some substantial amount of sand at the bottom. And the contract calls for them to dig that sand out and inspect it and make sure that there's no additional need for structural repairs. But the bid shows sandblasting and painting of the structures. So once they clean it out, we will be able to visually see if there's any issues down there. And that's the only concern that I have. I don't really expect any problems, but that would be a possibility for a change order. The other change order is on the outfall pipe coming out. That's also going to be inspected at the site, and then we would make the call whether we need any additional work other than what's called for in the plans.
Do you have what the amount, how to control the amount of that cost would be?
The engineer, HDR, would be the one that would be with us looking at the situation, and they would be helping us getting a proper number from the contractor. But we don't have a bid item that is specifically addressing those points right now.
Well, I mean, for instance, when you did the contract on some of the paving,
we added some bid items for that.
Yes, but on this one, there's
Well, in this particular, for the restoration of the pipe outflow, we do have a bid item that is there. For the other issue, we really don't have a bid item because we wouldn't know the magnitude of the work that.
Okay.
What we are anticipating is that we won't need anything other than the sandblasting and painting.
okay.
But other than that, without looking at it directly, once it's cleaned out, we won't really know if we need anything.
So HDR will sign off on all their work?
Well, right now I've got an estimate from HDR on them doing the construction management. I'll be bringing that to you next meeting as well. And part of the reason that I didn't bring it right now is because I believe one of our staff members in the maintenance department used to work with Kingfisher Marine, and he's very knowledgeable about that. So we're probably going to utilize him to do some of the inspections, which would minimize the involvement by HDR. But I would want to engage HDR to be a milestone type consultant, where on project milestones they come in and they inspect and they look and they let us know what we need to do. So they're still going to be involved in it. And I'm just haggling with them on the price.
I'll make a motion
All
on
right.
the table as recommended by staff, Mr. Chairman.
Table?
No.
No, not this one.
This one, not this one.
No, this one we need to award. This is, remember, this is part of the.
Oh, no, this is to award. We
Yeah,
don't
this
do
is
the
to
award.
award. This is part of the
one that you
maintenance
wanted to
stretch.
table.
No, we already got
Did
it.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah, we already did that.
Ahorita pasamos el café, hombre. Sacamos el- We're almost there, man. We're almost there. Okay. You want to get a motion? Do we have a second? We got a second by Commissioner Cowan. All those in favor? Item carries.
Item number 12, consideration and action to award contract for furnishing and placing the wastewater crew modular office unit to the lowest qualified bidder.
Chairman, Board Commissioners, this issue is also something that I believe we informed you of earlier. The low bid came in by satellite shelters. As you can see, there's different bidders there. The low bid came in by satellite shelters. They, on their bid, reflected the price with taxes and without. Of course, since we are a tax exempt entity, their price is going to be $28,282, which includes transportation and anchoring of the unit at the site. So our recommendation is that you award this bid to satellite shelters from New Braunfels in the amount of $28,282.
Got a question. Are we going to do, and our maintenance department going to hook up the sewer and the water and the electricity
Yes.
to the, okay.
And in fact, we've already started some of that work.
We've already started the site work, so
Yeah.
we'll be ready.
Well, The site work is still pending because I'm waiting for a drawing to see exactly where Eddie Rivera, who's the supervisor of this group, wants to place it. I've already discussed it with Mr. Campirano, and we're going to try to place it in a way that, the prevailing wind doesn't bring in the corrosive, well, not only, but the corrosive.
We need to put, basically, bottom line is we need to put it on the upwind side of it.
Yeah.
You don't want to put it where the prevailing wind, because thing will last 2 years and you have to replace it again.
Mr. Chavez, did they bid the same building? All
Yes.
three of them?
Yes.
There's a big difference between 38 and 28,000.
Well, we got a call from the high bidder that they supposedly sent the wrong bid, but obviously we're unable to do anything with that, so.
Did they send you pictures or something of the building? Any chance?
Well, we provided them the specifications for what we wanted and the sizes and everything, so I mean, they all got the same thing and they all looked at the same thing, and basically that's what it was.
How many square foot is this building?
It's a 12 by 60. So you want the square footage of 720?
All right. Okay, we have a motion.
So that's about $40-something a square foot.
How many inches?
We got a motion by Commissioner Arango, seconded by Commissioner Reed. All those in favor? Aye. Carries.
Item number 13, adjourning to executive session.
A couple of quick items.
Okay, it is 6:40 PM. We are adjourning into executive session.